EFF slams John Steenhuisen for incompetence and cadre deployment in the Department of Agriculture. The Economic Freedom Fighters EFF has criticized the Democratic Alliance's DA John Steenhuisen, the Minister of Agriculture, for what it called incompetence and corruption during his first 100 days in office. The party accuses Steenhuisen of failing to appoint qualified staff and prioritizing political loyalty over merit. IOA reported that Steenhuisen appointed podcaster Roman Cabanac as chief of staff in August. Despite being asked to resign, Cabanac has refused to vacate office as requested by Steenhuisen. According to the EFF, Steenhuisen's cadre deployment approach is evident in his nomination of individuals lacking the necessary qualifications for key positions. Notably, 3 of the 4 candidates he has proposed hold only matric certificate, while the 4th allegedly lacks adequate experience for the role, it said. His nominations of Annette Stein, Una Christians, Charity McCord, and Mr. Kruger are an insult to the hard-working and qualified South Africans who are being overlooked in favor of Steenhuisen's politically connected friends, said the party. The EFF noted that this situation has raised concerns about the negative impact on the government's operations and the welfare of its employees. Leanne Mertis, the EFF national spokesperson, said Steenhuisen's blatant disregard for the rules governing public office appointments is an insult to hard-working South Africans. His actions not only delay the finalization of crucial appointments, but also hinder the payment of workers' salaries, which is completely unacceptable. The EFF further criticized Steenhuisen for attempting to bypass minimum appointment requirements, claiming his actions reflect a troubling disregard for governance. They argue that his insistence on appointing politically connected individuals over qualified candidates is hypocritical, as the DA publicly denounces cadre deployment while engaging in similar practices behind closed doors. In addition, the party pointed to the recent hiring of Cabanac as an example of Steenhuisen's poor judgment. Murphy said public outrage forced Steenhuisen to request Cabanac's resignation. However, Cabanac has reportedly refused to step down, highlighting the minister's prior awareness of his controversial background. This situation showcases Steenhuisen's complicity in fostering a culture of racism within government. He is not only neglecting his responsibilities but also jeopardizing the integrity of the department, Matthews added. The EFF vows to continue exposing what they deem corrupt practices within the Department of Agriculture and is calling for accountability regarding Steenhuisen's leadership failures. On the other hand, only time will tell. Zille responds to GNU cracks. Democratic Alliance DA Federal Chairperson Helen Zille said the removal of Celia Brinks as mayor of the Tshwane might jeopardize the relationship between her party and the ANC nationally. Zille was responding to the question of how Brinks' removal can impact the relationship between the ANC and DA at a national level. All these things add up to poison the atmosphere, she said. She told IOL that there won't be stabilization agreements in the other metros if Brinks was not reinstated as mayor. Brinks was ousted last week in a motion of no confidence sponsored by the ANC, supported by the Fed Up Action SA and the Economic Freedom Fighters EFF. About 120 council members voted in favor of the resolution, while 87 voted against it. 1 member of the council abstained from voting. The DA confirmed they would field Brink again in the next council sitting to elect a new mayor. When asked why the focus was on Tshwane, despite the DA losing control of Johannesburg and the Ekurhuleni metros with less intensity, Zille explained that the context in Tshwane is entirely different. Today there is a GNU which has ushered in a new era of cooperation. The ANC and the DA want to end the chronic instability in metros. We had begun to have tentative discussions about how we could achieve stability in order to improve service delivery. The ANC motion of no confidence in Tshwane flew in the face of these attempts. Also, we fought very hard indeed to keep Mpho Phalatse as our mayor in Johannesburg. We went to court twice to protect her. When we realized that the only way to keep Johannesburg was to succumb to the blackmail of the PA, we decided against it, she stated. In 2023, when Phalatse was removed as mayor, the DA felt blackmailed by the PA's demands. According to the DA, the PA extortion collapsed the Joburg coalition talks. The PA last night refused to support the current multi-party coalition government unless it got access to the city's finances through control over the two most lucrative portfolios on the mayoral committee, economic and infrastructure development, the DA stated at the time. When asked about whether the conflicts indicated underlying cracks in the government of National Unity GNU or could lead to further division, Zille remarked, "Time will tell. Coalitions are always complex and difficult to manage. Tshwane has less than 14 days to elect the next mayor." And lastly, how to truly honor the final homecoming of our fallen liberation struggle heroes and heroines. By Kerr Newhouse. Last Friday, on September 27th, in the early morning hours, the families of the 42 liberation heroes and heroines who passed away in exile gathered at Isivivane in Freedom Park and participated in interfaith rituals as part of the poignant and deeply emotional homecoming ceremony. 2 days earlier, on Wednesday, September 25th, 2024, the mortal remains of 42 liberation soldiers who passed away in exile in Zambia and Zimbabwe arrived back home at the Waterkloof Air Force Base in the city of Tshwane, and last Friday they received the due honor that they deserve at a solemn ceremony where President Cyril Ramaphosa delivered the keynote address and laid a wreath at the Wall of Names. The importance of these events for the very psyche of our nation cannot be overestimated. The repatriation of our freedom fighters forms part of the ongoing Resistance and Liberation Heritage Route project with the aim to commemorate, celebrate, educate, and preserve a durable testament of our long and arduous South African road to freedom. The progress of doing so is not only a gesture of great honor to the individual struggle heroes, which it certainly is, but it also strengthens the historically long bonds of friendship, solidarity, and with the countries who hosted our heroes during the years of exile. I'm very deliberately reminding the readers of this piece in a very careful and formal way of the history and significance of this homecoming of our fallen heroes. I'm also very deliberately not elevating any of the names among the 42 liberation heroes who have finally concluded their long and arduous liberation journey and have now returned home. Sadly, there are many serious warning signals that we have not taken care of our roots and that as a nation we find ourselves in a perilous state. We are currently not grounded and anchored as we should be. During the past week, I received disturbing messages from the leadership of the South African National Military Veterans Association that they are deeply concerned about how they have been sidelined and how this homecoming project has been misappropriated by certain unscrupulous individuals, groupings, and specifically one political party, the African National Congress, for their own selfish advancements. In the run-up to the national and provincial elections shortly before May 29th, I've been appalled by how the ANC deliberately abused the erections of tombstones for fallen liberation struggle heroes as election campaign events. President Ramaphosa himself and his fellow acolytes even shamelessly attended the unveiling of tombstones in ANC regalia. The fact that myself and other members of the Portfolio Committee of Defense and Military Veterans have not been invited for last Friday's exile repatriation homecoming event at Freedom Park is not simply an unfortunate oversight, it is a sectarian and vengeful act of exclusion by the petty-minded leadership of the DMV, who resent the fact that we are exposing their appallingly glaring failures to take proper care of our military veterans. In addition, there are very serious allegations of corruption, fraud with regards to the tender processes, and the misappropriation of the funds related to the Resistance and Liberation Heritage Route project. It would be amiss of me not to refer of these serious concerns, but the immediate aftermath of the homecoming ceremony last Friday is not the time to further elaborate about them. That time will come in the correct fora and legal processes. However, what is appropriate now is to demand from all of us that we delve deep into our own better selves and to conduct ourselves in such a manner that we do not bring blemish and dishonor to our fallen liberation struggle heroes who have now finally returned home. As part of doing so, let us also rededicate ourselves to the sacred freedoms that these liberation struggle heroes lived and ultimately died for, and that the sell-out ANC-led government, both when it was solely in power and now in alliance with white supremacists in the physical GNU coalition, so recklessly squandered. While this repatriation brings long overdue respectful honor and closure to many families, it sadly is also a very stark symbol of the ANC's wanton neglect that it took so awfully long to finally come to this point. Not only has the ANC dismally failed to prioritize the dignity of our fallen heroes, but it continues to blatantly and in the most cynical way imaginable to betray the very ideals for which they have sacrificed their lives. I remain of the firm opinion that the only way to finally honor our fallen liberation struggle heroes is to once and for all remove the ANC from any vestiges of governing power. Their continued presence in the government of South Africa and abuse of that governing power, even in exploiting the memories of our fallen heroes, is a festering wound and an insult that, if we truly want to honor our liberation struggle legacy and heroes, can no longer be tolerated. To totally unplug the ANC from all power is now really the only way to take care of and to nurture our roots. Carl Neuhaus is a member of the EFF and an EFF Member of Parliament in the National Assembly, representing the EFF on the Portfolio Committee for Defense and Military Veterans. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of IOL or independent media. And that's it from INJIBS Network. Stay tuned to our celebrity and gossip news.